cloud. Welcome, everybody. I'm Steve Muckensnabel, VP of Business Development for Solveres. I'm kind of filling in for Mark today while he's taking care of some family issues. He may be listening in, so he may chime in if he's got a break, but we're going to go ahead and get into this. And I think very quickly, we're going to go ahead and turn this over to Dusty. As I look around the room here, I think everybody is very familiar with Dusty, but Dusty, if you would, before you start your 8th act of courage, just a real quick introduction for yourself, if you would, please.
Founder of EQ-IQ Leadership back in 1990. Been working with people for 45 years to help people. I'm 72, 3 grown children, all launched into the world, all entrepreneurs, which is great. Happily married. My wife still loves me even after COVID. I'm going on almost 34 and a half years now. Marital and family therapist by training, consultant coach for Fortune 100 companies and mid-sized companies, as well as individual coaching. So fellow in the School of Engineering at Virginia Tech. I don't know what else you want to know. Also, I am ordained as a minister. So
I didn't know that. That is a new one. I had no idea. Is that a recent thing, Dusty?
No, I've actually 4 or 5 of my CEO clients have had me actually officiate at their weddings. And so I've actually done a lot of weddings. I've done some funerals and some celebrations of life and so forth. So it's been fun. It's just part of it. I was going to be a priest. I was going to be a Jesuit priest because you could be a scientist and you could be a priest. Then I discovered, well, you had to give up. You couldn't have sex if you were a priest. And at age 18, I thought, well, I should try it before I give it up. And after that, then went to priesthood. So I'm kind of a lay minister to corporations, trying to bring heart to those cold, heartless corridors that too often you find in organizations, but also where there is heart, helping to be even stronger.
Yeah. And Dusty is also my partner in Pono University and the creator of the Journeys courses for the Pono Quest: Journey to Power, Journey to Vision, and Journey to Fulfillment. What's that, Dusty?
And also an honorary VP of HR for Solveres.
For Solveres, yeah. So without any further ado, Dusty, I think we're all excited to get access to some information that's not even published yet with your 8th act of courage. So I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Yeah,
Are we streaming now, Mr. Steve? Are we streaming? I need clarification.
We are recording now, yes.
So I wrote the book, The 7 Acts of Courage, and talked about it in my TEDx talk. And then one of the spiritual teachers that I've worked with was sitting down around the fire and said, these 7 acts are really good, but you missed one. I said, what's that? He said, the courage to let go. And I thought about it. It was like a blinding glimpse of the obvious. Yeah, it's kind of the 8th act of courage. And why is it so important to let go? And why does it take courage? Well, I want to just take you through a quick visualization. I like to do this longer, but we don't have a lot of time. So either cast your eyes down or close your eyes if you can do that safely. Micah, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. And just let yourself relax. I'm going to take you through a 3-minute guided visualization. So the first is feel your feet flat on the floor on the ground. Let your hands just rest in your lap. Your eyes gently cast down or closed. Just take a deep breath. Breathe in. And as you exhale, breathe out. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And then breathe in a little bit deeper, maybe for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in for a count of 10. Deep and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale slowly for a count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then take a deep breath and just let yourself breathe now a little bit deeper than normal. Breathe into your belly, feel your diaphragm, feel your belly open up, feel your chest. And as you breathe, let yourself relax. Realize there's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to hold you up. Feel the weight of your body being held by the earth, the weight of your body in the chair. And pay attention to the beat of your heart. Go inward. And as you breathe, if it helps, you can put a hand over your heart. Just feel your heartbeat. I know the strength and the power of your heart. It was beating in your mother's womb long before you appeared in this world. And as you were there, you heard this greater heartbeat, the heartbeat of your mother, surrounding you, informing you, feeding you. And also distantly, but within a 10-foot circumference, when your father was close, you could pick up his heartbeat too. That softer, quieter heartbeat, and the vast heartbeat of your mother as your own heart became entrained, open. Breathe into your heart, faithful companion, be with you till the end, long before you came into this world and up to the moment when you leave this world. And as you breathe into your heart and you feel it, call up a time in your life when you were dearly holding on to something, maybe holding on with both hands. It might have been a relationship, might have been a job, it might have been an identity or a way of working or a way of being and thinking. And that relationship, that job, that way of thinking and being was creating pain, and you were afraid to let go. You can remember a time, something you were holding on to that no longer served, that did not feed you, in fact, took from you. And yet you still held on out of the fear of emptiness, the fear of what would come next. And remember a moment when you found the courage to finally let go. Let go of the old relationship. Let go of the old way of being. Let go of the old job. Let go of the old identity. Remember a time when you found the courage to let go of something that no longer served and only constrained you. And yet you were afraid of what was on the other side. Breathe into your heart and remember what it took. Remember the courage. You know how to let go. You've let go before. And you've let go of some precious things because it was time. And you know at some point, you're going to have to let go of this body. All of us, the price of admission to life is death. The question will be, did you let go of those things that no longer served so you could be more open to what would? How deeply have you loved? How fully have you lived? How completely have you learned to just let go and let be? Breathe into that and know in your bones, in your heart, in the very DNA of your body, you know how to let go when you realize it's time. And it may take a little while, may take a little encouragement, may need to talk to somebody, may need to write your journal, but ultimately, you let it go. And remember how it felt on the other side of when you let go. Did you feel more buoyant? Did you feel a greater sense of possibility? Did you feel something new? And just breathe that in and take that. And when you're ready, maybe not this breath or the next, but when you're ready, just bring yourself back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I want to talk a little bit about the courage to let go. courage to let go is critically important. I was talking with a man who's given me permission to talk about him. I was up in the mountains doing 3 days of training, a leadership training that I do for one of my client organizations. And this guy sat down with me and he was talking about how much he'd gotten from the acts of courage. And particularly when I talked about the courage to let go. And he said, I have 2 sons and I had 3. My middle son died. I said, what happened? He said, my middle son was 6'4", 240 pounds, and he was found hanged in a closet. And turns out that his wife and her brother had drugged him, strangled him, and hung him up to make it look like an accident. They're in jail now for murder. And he said, I started drinking. My wife started taking drugs. She died from an overdose. I lost my son, my middle son. I lost my wife. I started drinking. I lost my job. I lost my house. And one night, I came home to this rundown rental I was staying in, and I took out my 45 and I put it to my head. I said, God, I can't live this way anymore. I need to let this go, or I need to end my life. And he said, it was like, he heard this voice. And the voice said, son, you don't want to do this. There's something better for you. Let it go. Let it go. And he threw the gun across the bed. Fortunately, it didn't go off. And he said he stopped drinking. He got up and he started focusing. He got a job with this company that I work with now. And 3 months later, he got a phone call from the sister of a woman he had dated 25 years earlier that had been his first love. And she said, my sister's husband died, and she's been talking about you. Now, he said he hadn't talked to this woman in 25 years, hadn't talked to her sister in 25 plus years. He said, would you be willing to talk to her? And he said, if she wants to talk to me, give her my number, she can call me. A month later, she called, they talked, they went to a McDonald's, they shared a Big Mac, had a Coke, and she's now his wife. He said, if I hadn't had the courage to let go of all the old grief and the old way and the anger and the resentment, if I hadn't been willing to start stepping up into another way of being, I would never have been there for this relationship. Sometimes on the other side of the things we struggle the most to let go of is life. I was so touched. I was in tears. We were sitting around the fire. I said, can I share the story? He said, yes, you can even give my name. I said, thanks, Charles, I will. So he wanted everybody to have a sense of the power of that. See, Craig has a hand up. Craig, did you want to say something? I guess not. All right. So the courage to let go has to do with being willing to let go of the old identities. Now we talk about individuals. Let's talk about companies. Kodak didn't have the courage to let go of the film business and really move into that they had all the patents for it, which was the visual imagery. Same thing happened to Zenith. Same thing happened to Motorola. Same thing happened to BlackBerry. Same thing happened to Nokia. I mean, it's happened time and time again. Very successful, multi-billion-dollar businesses can't let go of what made them successful. Step into the next piece. So someone else takes that piece, even though they invented, like Xerox Labs came up with a lot of stuff that Steve Jobs and Wozniak used in Apple. So very often it's going to be other people who didn't have to let go of the old way, the old successes in order to move forward. When you let go of what no longer serves, you now make yourself available to what can serve, what can be for you. One guru said it really well. Sadhguru said, if you want to be enlightened, you're going to have to let go of your illusions. What illusions are you holding on to? There's also this new way of thinking that I think is actually very old, which is we're okay in our society if you have a really nice house, if you have a really great relationship, if you have money in the bank, all the things you have to have. Or we're okay if we really do important stuff, like we're important consultants, or we're senior leader, or we're running our own business. That's what we do. And the actual thing is we live our life backwards, because the essence is really you're okay because you are being a human being. Then you can do whatever you do. You can have whatever you have, but you're not defined by the having, and you're not defined by the doing. You're defined by the beingness, the quality and tone of your heart, how you relate to people, how you treat people, how you relate in this amazing universe of aliveness that we exist within. And I've seen so many people holding on to old hurts, old resentments, a relationship's been over for 10 years, and they're dragging the dead corpse of that relationship around with them, or not forgiving themselves, holding on to regret and guilt, holding on to an old identity. I used to be somebody famous, as opposed to, that's who I used to be. This is who I am now. When we begin to step into letting go, we begin to step beyond what Elizabeth Sewell, the poet who actually wrote a wonderful book called The Human Metaphor. Elizabeth Sewell said she sees so many people holding on to what was, the smoke of what was. It's no longer there, but they're holding on to it. It is real, it is real, it is real. When it no longer is. But it takes courage to recognize something no longer is real, something no longer fits, and for us to step into it. I think what, for me, the acts of Solveres, the courage that I see in Solveres, is people have the courage to let go of an old identity and step into something new. They have the courage to begin to find new solutions, realizing that the old ways don't necessarily work anymore. If something isn't getting you joy and happiness, it's time to let it go. So one last story, real quick story. I was working with an executive, and she told me she was really afraid she was going to be fired. And I talked with the senior leader, her supervisor, her manager, said, oh, it's this person. It's very, very good. She's very talented. She's very capable. She had great 360 feedback, but she had this great fear. So she was working 12, 14-hour days, 70, 85-hour a week. She didn't have to. It was affecting her marriage. It was affecting her health. She was really unhappy. So I was coaching her, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? She said a 2. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful do you feel you are in life? She said a 1. 1 being really low, 10 being really high. I said, so you're holding on to this fear, you're going to be fired. And we did some work. And what it came about was she had some really toxic parenting where she felt she had to earn love. Only if she got A's would she be approved and loved. Only if she did what her mom and dad wanted and gave up what she wanted would she be loved. And she carried that into her life. And even though she was successful, she didn't feel successful. She wasn't enjoying life. So I said, I'm going to give you a tool to let go of the old identity. So what's that? I said, you're afraid of being fired. Your boss should be afraid you're going to fire him. And she started laughing. I said, when you go to work tomorrow, I want you to look at your boss and say, hey, buddy, in your mind, hey, you're on waivers. I'm going to see if you can shape up the way I need you to shape up for me to be able to perform at my best. Your organization's on waivers. Every day you show up, you're choosing to be there. I want you to evaluate your organization and look at it as if, is this the place you want to continue? She started laughing. She called me up 2 weeks later and she said, you know what? I'm not worried about being fired anymore. I now think my boss is worried I might quit. In fact, I got another raise. I said, yeah, it's funny when you shift your way of thinking and you reframe or recontextualize the way you're looking at the world, that your organization's on waivers, your boss is on waivers. You get to choose. It's magical what can happen. So I invite you to really, would you look at all the 7 acts of courage? Courage to dream and express it, courage to see current reality, courage to confront, tell truth to power with compassion, the courage to be confronted, to hear other people's truth, the courage to learn and grow, give up the need to be right, step into the unknown, courage to be vulnerable, courage to take action, and now also the courage to let go. So that you can stop acting in ways that don't fit, and you can now act in ways that really feed your heart. So that's just an invitation. There's a lot more stories, a lot more I could share, but I'll stop there and just see where people are, if they have any questions or anything they'd like to offer, Steve.
Yes, thank you, Dusty. Everyone, there's a little button at the bottom of your screen. It says reactions. If you click on it, it says raise hand. What I'd like to do, and this has been valuable in a lot of the sessions that I've done with Dusty, is just to get some feedback from the people that are listening. What he says, a lot of times there's one thing, a couple things that really touch people or really have an impact. I've seen several people crying during some of his sessions just because it resonated. So if you'd like to raise your hand, I'd like to call on you and just maybe share one of your takeaways if you would. And Vanessa, I see your hand up, so let's go ahead and start with you.
Yes, greetings, good evening, everyone. Dusty, I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed the breathing exercise. Also, when you mentioned letting go, a lot of times we have fear to let go, and we also know that fear and faith cannot dwell in the same place. So I want to tell you, thank you so much. I truly enjoyed that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And Craig, your hand is still up. If you happen to unmute, we'll call on you. Frank, I see you waving over there. You're muted there, sir.
May I say something briefly?
Just a sec, Jack. Frank, if you would unmute. Oh, I don't know if he can hear me.
Okay, what was this all about? I forgot.
Is that Craig?
Letting go.
Yeah, he was talking about tragedy. I didn't know if it had anything to do with Solveres.
Oh, he was, Dusty comes on every Thursday, or he has the last 7 weeks, and he goes over one of the acts of courage from his book, 7 Acts of Courage. And what he was sharing with us today was his 8th act of courage, which hasn't been published or released yet. And so this is just kind of a special opportunity that we have on Thursday for Dusty. Dusty, I heard you were starting to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, Craig, what it has to do with Solveres is that in my experience now working with people for 45 years is that I see people get in trouble not because they're not smart enough, it's because they lacked emotional intelligence. And almost every time it was a failure of one or more of the acts of courage. They either weren't seeing the current reality, they weren't willing to be confronted, they weren't going to tell their truth, or something like that. And many times I'm seeing people really not celebrating their life and not moving forward into greater success because they don't have the courage to let go. They're holding on to the old identity, the old ways of thinking. So that's how it's related to Solveres.
Okay, so when you were talking about the gun and the son, and were those all true stories?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so
Every
it's in a book.
story.
What?
Every story. It's those stories aren't in this book. Those are some news stories I just got. But this book has other stories of every act of courage has a business story and a personal story of why courage really mattered.
So what you're saying is this is all about people overcoming tragedy to be successful. As that's what the book's all about.
No, the book is about overcoming fear. It may not be tragedy. There, it can be fear of public speaking. It can be fear of being found out. A lot of successful people feel like the false man or false woman syndrome. So it has to do with really overcoming fear. And tragedy might be a piece of it, but very often it's just everyday common fear that stops people.
Okay, so you're talking a lot about psychology, right?
Talking about human effectiveness in life, yes.
So a lot of people have skeletons in the closet. They don't want to talk about their innermost thoughts, right?
Most people are afraid of being vulnerable and open in life. That's one of the issues that happens for folks. And that includes people who make $50 billion a year that I've coached and consulted with. And it's not so much a skeleton in their closet as if it's a lack of either the courage to face an issue or face something within themselves.
Yeah. So this is a great conversation, but I'd like to get some other people in on it if I could. So Craig, thanks for your comments. It looks like Frank has unmuted himself successfully. So let's move on to Frank. Uh-oh, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you, Frank. At least I wasn't getting anything.
I wasn't either. I think in the meantime here, Bruce, why don't you tell your story you said at the before we're getting ready for the meeting?
You mean when I went and asked for forgiveness, or about the
Yes.
states?
Yeah.
Well, I asked two things and you said yes.
Well, what Dusty's talk encouraged you to go do, and you did it.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, Dusty, his stuff is very impactful. I mean, I really look forward to it. I look forward to every Solveres call, but this has a different dynamic to it. And I really appreciate it. So what I was sharing earlier was that I had a broken relationship for 7 years, and Dusty had said that we needed to have the courage to confront without being confrontational. And so, I took what Dusty's prompting and I just prayed on it. I went to the individual after 7 years. I asked for their forgiveness because I had been holding animosity in my heart against them. And everything worked out great. And throughout the conversation, they said, wow, when I told them why, instead of becoming defensive, they said, I guess I should be asking you, to forgive me. And so, everything's worked out, great. And so, Dusty's taking the time to share this information with us is very beneficial for everyone in Solveres. We're very lucky to have Dusty. And I mean, he helped me, tremendously. And then tonight, we've learned the courage to let go. And, we always say that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I just said to somebody yesterday about, forgiveness and letting something go. I said, letting something go is a gift that you give to yourself. So, Dusty is great. We're lucky to have him. And I really hope that everybody, walks away with something, from what he has said, because it only helps us all be better. And as we're all better, a rising tide lifts all ships, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vanessa, is your hand up again, or is it just left up from before?
Left up from before.
Okay. Okay. And then I see Jack's hand is up. So Jack, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say very briefly that Dusty puts a voice to my thoughts. And for that, I'm very grateful. Short and succinct and to the point.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
thanks. Anybody else have a takeaway from the discussion today? Nope. Awesome. I will say that if you scroll to the top of the chat, I put a couple links on there. Dusty did a course. It's what is it? I think 8 videos in that course for take care, building and nurturing wholehearted relationships. And then his other course is a verbal Aikido, which is good. I listened to it again today, and I was playing, and there's just some gems in there. He talks a lot about butts too, so it's worth. I was teasing a little bit with that one, right, Dusty?
Yeah, don't show your butt in public.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Too late.
But definitely something that will benefit everybody in their communications, whether it's at home or in business. So I recommend that highly. And then we're also, I'm still working with Micah. We're putting up the PonoQuest journeys, so everybody can get access to those if you want to continue getting some education from Dusty. And then as a supplement to that, we're also looking at doing a weekly Zoom for each of the course. So it'd be like a 4-week session of a weekly Zoom call with Dusty, where he can really dive deep into the concepts in the journeys. And then there's a lot of interaction, because he doesn't just sit there and give you a lecture. He's always interacting, getting people's takeaway. And it's a good time to ask questions, get a little deeper than what we're able to do in this format. Did I see someone else's hand pop up? Or
I think Jane's unmuted herself. Jane, do you want to say something?
I just put it in the chat. Most of all, I just want to say, Dusty, that story you shared with us about the gentleman that almost killed himself, it is so inspiring. It can give so many people hope. So thank you. And I appreciate it. And hey, I would like to share with the listeners, I'll spare you all the details other than to say, right before this webinar, I did something. It was a real gigantic burden I had on my heart for probably 2 years. And all I can say, it was just perfect timing, because now that's behind me and it's a new moment. So thank you again, Dusty, for talking to us about having courage.
You're welcome, Jane. My pleasure.
And Bruce, I see your hand up again.
Steve, I just wanted to ask a question. This doesn't have to do with what Dusty said, but at what point do you want me to read the states?
Let's do it right now. That'd be perfect. Do you want to share your screen, or are you just going to read it off?
I don't know how to share screens. This is how I share screens. Okay, so yeah, that's
perfect. Just read
that's
them
why I
off
need
for
a
us, Bruce.
25-year-old assistant. Okay, so, or Micah. So just good news for everybody. I wanted to let you know that the senior solution has been expanded to 20 states now. And these are not in any particular order, but California, Nevada, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Oregon, Virginia, Washington, Illinois, Hawaii, Georgia, Maryland, Colorado, Alabama, Connecticut, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Minnesota. So if you didn't hear
awesome.
your state, let me know, and we'll do everything that we can. But Vanessa, Georgia was added for you. And so we're now in 20. So
That's awesome. We've doubled our states since we started this. Good job.
That's great.
And Bruce,
Thanks, Bruce.
isn't everything east of the Mississippi is exclusively through Solveres? Is that right?
For the most part. I mean, any new agents coming on board, would go through us. There could be some agents that may have already been operating in a state or two. Virginia was already on there. So there might be, a few people, but I just onboarded someone in Virginia, and then we've got some other people in Georgia that are waiting. So very exciting news. So once again, if you didn't hear your state, let me know. And we're rocking and rolling, baby. I mean, this is happening, sweetheart. So, get on board.
Awesome. For
Steve,
any of the
I'll jump in.
VPs that are here in your area, if there's something that you'd like to share or any updates that you'd like to give, go ahead and just unmute or raise your hand. And I didn't mean to speak over someone. Who was chiming in? Was that Jane?
It was really nobody. It was just me, Mark. I just had a quick, thought I wanted to mention as I break away here just for a minute, and that is the value of Dusty and the team. And so, what we're going to do when people hit certain benchmarks in their growth as IBOs. A former company I was with had something that won't touch what Dusty is going to do for the company, but it's going to be a leadership training, and we had to pay for it. But when you hit this certain position in leadership, the company Solveres will pay your way in to take the special leadership training from Dusty. So Mike and I are working on those details right now. We're speeding up the release of the matrix, which will be coming real soon. So it's going to be, hopefully you can still hear me, but it's going to be so exciting in the next 30 days, what's going to happen. So get ready, you guys. I've got to go, but I just want to throw that in there. Thank you, Steve.
Yep, you bet, Mark. Dusty, what was the name of that assessment that you offer through your business training?
Oh, well, there's two. One's called the Strength Deployment Inventory through Core Strengths. It's not mine, it's theirs, which really looks at four big things: performance, process, people, and possibility, and looks at how to read and understand people as well as understanding conflict. Then we have what we call Leadership Impact Questionnaire, which is based on my first book, The Heart of Leadership, where we evaluate people against 7 major criteria in terms of leadership, and they get evaluated in a 360 way. So those two are part of what goes into it.
Yeah, and my experience in doing that with you, not only did I learn a lot about myself and my personality and how I think and everything, but how to communicate with the other personalities, right? And how to talk with them on and meet them in the middle rather than try to force the way I think and the way I talk. It was a big eye opener for me. Maybe sometime we can have a little.
The better you're able to read other people and understand them. I mean, there's 4 big building blocks of emotional intelligence. One is self-awareness, accurate, being able to self-manage yourself, change yourself, reading and understanding other people, and then changing your relationship strategies. So you have relationship management. Those are the 4 big blocks. There's 17 competencies, but those are the 4 big ones to really help you. And the SDI and the profiles help you do that.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Anybody else? I see a couple hands up, but I'm not sure if those were left up. Bo, did you have anything for us?
Okay, let's just go over what we're going to do. Our next meeting is Saturday at 10 o'clock. Let's bring a lot of people in. We've got some good new stuff we're going to bring out on that meeting. So don't miss the meeting on Saturday, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, so we'll go over more of the opportunities and the solutions with Solveres on that one. Perfect. Well, I'm going to close it then,
guys.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now I see Sadir has his hand up. Sadir, did you want to contribute?
Yeah. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Very heart-touching story from Dusty, and thanks for that. And I hope we can learn more from you in future sessions. And also, I would like to introduce my one of my friend who just joined today. His name is Nagaraj. He's from Bangalore, India, and he's such a great guy, and would like to have him in our sessions from now. So
well, welcome Nagaraj, and thank you, Sadir, for inviting him to this platform. Hopefully he can come in on Saturday as well and get some more information about Solveres, because we'll go deeper into, like I said, the opportunity and the solution with Solveres.
Steve, just briefly mention Cami and what Cami brings to the party, because what they're doing is something truly awesome. Could you just mention that briefly?
Well, I'm going to let Cami and Alan do it if that's all right. So go ahead and unmute yourself, guys, and just let us know what you're doing with the nonprofits.
Okay. So basically what we do is we are educating nonprofits on something that they haven't been doing to their own I don't want to say discredit, but like they just don't know about something. And when you don't know about something, you don't know what you don't know. What they don't know is that they can access funding from real estate. And why is that important? Well, because 43% of our nation's wealth is in real estate and only 3% is in cash. So if you're stepping over that 43% to get to that little 3%, you're doing yourself a disservice. So what we're doing is waking up nonprofits just to the fact, things change. And we live in a world right now where things change at a light speed. We're going to go to bed tonight, and tomorrow morning, something's going to be totally different about our world. And one of the things that's changing is the ability for nonprofits to access this type of funding in a way they didn't know they could and didn't think they could. And in fact, for a long time, a lot of people that you talk to that were in nonprofits, that have been in nonprofits for any period of time, they hear the word real estate and funding together, it's like all of a sudden they have this negative perspective. We're here to educate them that it's not like that anymore. And for them to sit on the sideline while other nonprofits are coming online, accessing this funding, hey, your donors are going to be on other nonprofits donors lists too. And then they find out that the one nonprofit is accepting real estate, well, they're going to get it and you're not. So there's some fear of missing out, and there's some education piece, but basically it's really just letting these nonprofits know that it's available. They don't know that it is, and they're not going to ask for it because they don't think they can. Last year, $9 billion was given in real estate without nonprofits asking for it. That's just because donors had to figure out how to do it. So with an education, with our program, with getting it across all the states, we believe we can get that up to 26 billion in the next few years, and that's our goal.
And
That's awesome.
On top of that is how the real estate, when this real estate is donated, we can't give cash to the profits unless the real estate is liquidated. So that's why the real estate agents are so important. We don't want a donation from them. They're not doing it for a discount because it's nonprofit. They get a full commission to list this real estate. And that's why we're out actually handing out flyers today and tomorrow, because we have an event coming up with Goodwill and Easter Seals, and they want their 200 nonprofits, all of the domestic abuse and the veteran groups and the homeless shelters and the soup kitchens that all are supported by Goodwill and Easter Seals. They all work together. They want us to come in and teach them and show them how this works. So we're doing it live there, and it's on Zoom. And we want to encourage any of you to invite the nonprofits that you care about, because there's different conversations. If you go to the nonprofit page on the Solveres site, you'll see 4 videos. So it's a different conversation if we're talking to realtors versus nonprofits versus the donors. And then also the social responsibility. How can businesses make money for making a difference?
This is the hidden gem.
Yeah, not take money out of their pocket and give $5,000 to sponsor. How can they actually put money in their pocket by helping these nonprofits get funded by the millions? That's what we do.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting, Bo and I have both gone to different real estate marketing meetings, and we've seen a lot of ads from realtors, and Bo, with his credentials in commercial real estate, he could do courses and courses on all the things that you can do with your equity, right? And how you can trade it and exchange it and all that. But Bo, I don't ever remember seeing anybody putting on the list of the things you can do with your equity is donate a portion of your equity. Have you seen that?
No, that's why I think this is the coolest thing I've seen this year in real estate, maybe in 47 years of real estate. I mean, it's amazing.
It gives back. It's a way of giving back.
Yeah.
And people want to do business with organizations that are in the process of giving things back and helping support people. It's a quadruple win, win, all around, which is brilliant.
You know, those videos that Cammie was talking about, everybody here, take time to watch one of those videos every day for the next 4 days. You will learn so much just by those videos, and you'll want to take her course, the master class, which I think the next one's October 4th. So, and it's free. You guys ought to all take it. You'll learn a lot. It'll open your eyes. And like she says, it'll open your eyes. And now you've got the information in you. You can't keep it in there. You've got to let it out.
Got to take action.
You know, in life, a lot of times I feel like the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So the wiser I get, the more foolish I really feel. The more I learn about charitable real estate, the more I realize it just broadens and broadens and broadens. You start in a little stream, and then it takes you into a river, and that river opens up to a gulf, and then the gulf empties into a sea, into an ocean. And as you just learn more, you realize that it gets expansive and expansive and expansive.
I've got a $35 million deal I'm working on with somebody actually that's in Solveres. If we put it together, I'm going to suggest they put a little bit of it towards their favorite nonprofit. You watch.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
when I get close enough to the deal, I'm going to have you guys talk to him.
Let me
Perfect,
just say something real quick. Hey, this is Mark. I have a quick comment. When I first heard Cami and Alan speak about this, I thought, in my circle of influence, I don't know somebody that's going to donate $1 million piece of property. And I know we all kind of think like that to an extent. And then I heard about the $9 billion being donated. And I thought, there's a different world out there of people that that have this portfolio. And it's bigger than you think. I know the largest one, Bezos' ex-wife, just donated a $55 million piece of property to a nonprofit. Those people are out there, and they need to hear about this. And I'm on a mission to help Cami and Alan do it. So I've got to go, you guys. I just want to throw that in. Bye-bye.
Well, and to add to that, there was somebody at the last minute. We're coming up to the time of the year where people are looking for tax deductions like crazy, and you got to hurry to get them. One of the pieces that we teach on in the class, true story, last December 12th, someone decided they want to get a tax deduction, but they had 12 or 13 properties out there. They wanted to pull them all together and take the tax deduction. Well, how long is it going to take to sell 13 lots and pieces of land and all that stuff? Well, Cammie's and her group were able to get those all sold, and get those two. It was actually what was the name of the charity?
It was the Berkeley Humane Society.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell the story real quick. I think it's awesome.
They got their tax write-off for that fiscal year too.
Yeah, they got it done before the end of the year. It took till March to get all the properties sold. So the owner got a full tax deduction of the price on the full deal. Then the appraised value, and then the charity got their check in March. It took till about March to get all 12 or 13 properties sold. And then the charity was smart. They went out to their donors and said, hey, look what we're doing. So they ended up getting, I think, $408,000 or something like that on that deal, putting all those together. And then this other piece of property came in from one of their other members or donors or support people, and it was a $600,000 deal. So there's $1 million that nonprofit got. Boom. Is that nonprofit pretty happy this year? That's a real life this year deal.
If I could, oh, sorry, Bo. If I could, I know the VPs get really excited here and we can just go all day. What I'd like to do is put Dr. Loomstein on the spot, if I could, because he comes in and he's kind of a fly on the wall and he's been listening to a lot of things that have been going on. And I would like to get his feedback on what he's seeing with Solveres and the opportunities.
Well, so far, I see that you all are trying to help people and help the nonprofits, which are really necessary. And I think you've got good programs out there that are benefiting the people who join as well as the members. I still don't know who to go after to solicit people to join. And so hopefully on Saturday, we'll take care of that.
I think we'll get into that a little deeper. We'll do a little deeper dive.
I will do this. This is Mark Harvey. I will do a direct segment on that because I know exactly how to answer that call. I'll do that on Saturday.
Good.
Perfect.
I think
Thanks, Doc.
That would help me.
Just awesome. Real quick for me, a story that it's not even a story, but I had a Zoom today with a business coach, and actually he's a coach of business coaches. Dusty, you know him, Malcolm Reed. I spoke with him today, and we talked a little bit about Solveres. He wanted to know more, and as I kind of laid out the picture, I could just see his brain spinning, and he gets it very quickly, and he's like, man, you guys have so many solutions available in so many different big industries that you're tapping into. So we're going to be following up. I've got a meeting already with him and Mark and myself to talk a little bit more about how we can grow this. But it's setting up alliances too, or joint ventures with other people that have big groups. So we don't always have to just go directly one-to-one, but find those groups and people that we can complement with our solutions. And then we can send people business their way for whatever product or services that they offer. I saw some thoughts coming out, Dusty.
No, I was just,
Nope.
I'm very excited. It'd be great if we could have another hour together.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But
I need to close it because Mark's never going to let me do this again. He's so good at keeping it on time. So I better cut it short. Thank you so much, Dusty, for sharing the now 8 acts of courage with us. I know everybody's looking forward to maybe doing something like what we did with the PonaQuest journeys and the Zoom meetings, because it's so valuable. And thank you everybody for returning, showing up. Please show up on Saturday to keep the energy going. And by all means, invite as many people as you can. Mark, did you have any closing words? If he's there.
No, I'm here. Thank you. I'm just grateful. Thank you all for being here. It's a journey. It's not the destination. We're having a ride of our life, you guys. Thank you.
With that said, thank you, everybody. Enjoy your Thursday evening. We'll see you all on
Everybody
Saturday.
bring somebody Saturday. Thanks, Steve. Great
Steve.
hosting.
Steve, one last minute.